we are programmed to be attracted to the people that carry the same kind of imbalances that our parents did so that we can work through them.
Mm-hmm.
And if you don't get married for the right reasons or even partnered for the right reasons, see, if you're partnered with someone because they're beautiful and they're good in bed, my question is, how are you going to deal with the next 23 hours every day? You see, so what happens is you see relationships go from passionate, intense sex to passionate, intense disruption, arguments or disagreements. And eventually the love of sex won't glue the relationship back together again because it's trying to deal with an emotional or a mental imbalance at a physical level. So if we don't recognize that we need to grow emotionally or grow mentally, then we keep resorting to physical means of medicating the pain in the relationship, but it's the wrong kind of glue, right? It doesn't work there, right?
Yeah.
So the only thing we can do is, and the universe plays the trick of love, and the trick of sex and love is that it's bonding. And if you have deep, passionate sex with someone, especially if you simultaneously orgasm together, and particularly if you're looking in each other's eyes or breathing each other, then the fusion of spirit is so strong that it can imprint the presence of the other so deeply in you that even when you're ideologically separated, vaccination, no vaccination, let the kids have sugar and candy because they're kids, and no, don't do that because it screws them up. You see, if you have these mental, emotional polarizations, but you're deeply fused with that person at a core spiritual level, there's always a field around you based in that love that has an invisible magnetic force that helps keep the relationship together. If someone has a deep, intimate relationship with someone, it doesn't have to be a sexual union, but it could be a soul connection, like maybe a past life partner or something that you're now reconnecting with. So there's this deep knowing that what you have together goes beyond just physical contact. It's deeper than that. But what I'm saying is that if you have enough, my point is that the Mother Nature plays a trick on us. She uses sex as the bait to bring us into a deep enough fusion that somehow the other is now inside of us, so we can't just get away from them in an argument. And anyone that doubts that need only go through a divorce. Because I can tell you, I got a divorce from my first wife after 17 years of marriage, and I really wanted the divorce. But starting the day I moved out, I went through a year of deep emotional pain because I realized that she was so much a part of me in ways that I had never realized, that I felt as though somebody had ripped my heart in half. And I had no idea what I was getting myself into. You know, I didn't know. And so I bring that up to show you that there's the fusion. The fusion that held us together for 17 years was more powerful than the differences between us. But there's a time when our soul connection, our soul contract with a person is over. And then the nature of the love changes. I still love my first wife. She's still beautiful to me. And I just know that what I came here to do in the world wasn't really ideal for her to support, because what she needed was a different kind of relationship with a man. I'm, as you know, like a burning arrow.
Yeah.
And it's like, if your love gets in the way of my mission, I don't feel loved.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And that's a core difference between masculinity and the feminine in a lot of ways is the masculine's insatiable thirst for freedom and the pursuit of purpose. And the feminine's insatiable thirst is love and connection. And oftentimes that can, without that understanding, can lead to distance.
But it has to exist that way. If we had two masculine, purpose-driven, there would be potentially a lack of love. And if there was two, love-driven beings, there might be a lack in purpose and mission in the world.
Those are the conditions for choosing unconditional love. Well, this is so good, Paul, and I want to get into more around belief systems and even more.
Let me just throw something on the table, though. If we had all masculine love, it would just be a constant orgy, and nobody would know none of the children would know who their parents were.
Yeah.
Right.
So to really simplify this concept, Eros is very masculine love, and that's why Cupid has the bow. It's like the Eros love is outgoing. It's the next thing. Every man, no matter how much he loves his woman, if he's a man, if a good-looking girl walks by, there's a part of him that starts getting hungry. That's the hunter. The man's consciousness is directed outward, and it's much more narrower than a woman's. It's target-oriented. It's what's over the next horizon. I've climbed that mountain, I got to climb a bigger one. I've killed 3 moose, I got to kill 4 next year. Whatever, it's always outward going. The woman's love is agape love. That's a circle or a square. But her love is inward drawing, like a sponge pulling water into itself. It's agape love that holds the family together, or holds the tribe together, or holds the classroom together, say if you have a female teacher, or even if you have a male teacher, because we all have agape and eros in us, just in different proportions depending on sex and person and personality. But so what you see is mother has a real hard time letting go of her children at any age. And when they leave home to go to college or whatever, she goes through a crisis. But dad wants to kick them out the door and say, get out in the world and do something, right? So you see the Eros wants to kick the kids out the door, but agape wants to keep the house warm and keep that door closed and keep everybody together, like a pack. Like dogs like to sleep together because they keep each other warm. So you have this yin energy in drawing that ultimately is essential, because without that love, then you don't have nurture. And if you don't have nurture, then you disturb nature. Nature starts to fall apart. And so the nature is the child itself, and the nurture is what grows it. Just if you don't nurture your plants, if you don't water them, they die. If you don't feed your animals and water them, they die. That's nurture, that's agape. But a man says, okay, I'm going to feed you, and I'm going to love you, dog, but then we're going to go hunting. And there's the transition of the polarity. The technical name for one becoming the other is enantiodromia, which means yin becoming yang and yang becoming yin. So if a woman's too agape, she overloves and smothers her children. If she's too eros, then the child may suffer conditional love. I love you when you're hitting home runs, or I love you when you get good report card.
When you're behaving.
I love you when you're behaving. And that's why it's so important to have a mother and a father, because we have to have role models for the feminine aspects of ourselves and the masculine. Mm-hmm. Otherwise, we go out into the world with a significant imbalance.
Oh, yeah.
And it leads to problems, because what you will do is you will attract people to you to feed the imbalance. So you have to live through it to resolve it, because there is no way to cheat the monopoly game of consciousness. Mm-hmm. You can't do it. Right. There's no way to trick consciousness. You can't be unenlightened and enlightened because you read books.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
There's no way to... I tell my students many times when they start spouting off fancy philosophical, spiritual stuff, I say, do me a favor. Don't say those words unless you live those words.
Yeah.
Because when you start talking that way, the first people that are going to analyze you is your family members. So if you start talking like Jesus, they want to see Jesus. And if Jesus isn't there, you will meet the devil.
Yep.
It's so true. Embodiment is such a huge aspect of self-development, evolution, growth that I think sometimes it's easy to forget about, especially in the presence of family members. I forget who says it, where you might know this quote where it's like, you think you're enlightened, okay, go spend a week with your family.
Yes, I don't know who
I
said
think it's
it. but-
Ram Dass, actually.
Ram Dass?
Yeah.
And so true, because they have helped program those buttons and they know exactly where they are to push
Yes.
to push you back into your programming and how they know you as a child and all of those things, and it's so true. It comes back to embodiment, no matter what spiritual concept we're talking about.
Yeah, totally. Thank you so much for listening.
If you enjoyed that, check out right over here for some more fun clips.
Oh, and you're going to want to subscribe.
Bye.